74 fruit cups for the freezer with fruit from the farm. What do you do with an abundance of fruit? Hey, my friends. So very good to see you today. I'm excited to bring you this fun little recipe. It's, again, going to be one that's a Angie made recipe. What that means is I just am kind of doing my own thing. I'm not really following an exact recipe, but I will tell you that the inspiration for this recipe comes from an old church cookbook from my childhood where we would make frozen fruit cups, and a lot of times they would be served at bridal showers and baby showers and just dinners and all kinds of things. It was just kind of a thing that they would do, and they would serve them in these small little cups. And so therefore I decided that I wanted to serve that. And many of you who've been following along know that I have been making snacks and taking to church at least once a month, sometimes even several times a month, because it's just kind of a love language of mine. I love to cook and share and serve when I can. By the way, if you're not familiar with who I am and you're new to my channel, welcome here. You might be coming as part of the Every Bit Counts challenge, because I'm going to consider this part of that too, because you can absolutely take all your produce that you're getting from your fruit trees and your orchards and things and freeze them up in these little cups. And instead of, sharing them, you can have them and they'll actually last several months in the freezer. So this is something that you can do in whatever quantity you want, however you want to make it. And that's what we're going to do today. Frozen fruit cups, your way, my way, our way. So the first thing I did is I started digging around to see what I had available for fruit. And I have these bananas here, and I know they look really brown and they don't look very appealing, but I want to make sure that my bananas were at peak ripeness. So when they got to that point on the counter, I put them into the refrigerator. And what happens is the outer skin will turn brown, and we'll double check and make sure they're okay, obviously, when we open them up, but they should still be the white inside. That's a trick that my grandmother used to do. I used to go to her house and she would always peel them apart individually, and she had them in one of the crisper drawers, and that is how she would store her bananas. And sometimes they'd look pretty darn bad and I'd think, ooh, but then when she would serve it to me, they were perfectly fine. So that's a fun little trick for you to try in your kitchen too. The first thing I did is I've got some pears that were in the freezer, and I'm thawing them out on a defrost cycle in the microwave. I'm doing the cheaters method because I kind of lost track of time today. I also dug out some strawberries. These are homegrown strawberries. I only have one package of those. It's a 5-cupper. I was kind of try to do 4 cups of everything just to make easy math, but that isn't exactly how it worked out today. So I have 2 quart-sized bags of pear pieces. I don't remember how big they are. And then I have 2 bags here of my white peaches off my fruit tree. White peaches aren't really safe for canning, but you can absolutely freeze them. So I've already diced them up, and all we have to do is kind of let those thaw, and they will be ready to go. And some pineapple. And a lot of people will use blueberries, but personally, I don't like the skins of the blueberries in this dish, so I leave them out. But if you want to add cherries, if you wanted to add any kind of fruit, you could add plums, you could have apricots, you could add just honestly any fruit that you like, you can add in here, and any quantity that you want. I'm going to go ahead and keep this defrosting because it is still rock hard. Oh boy. We'll have to keep an eye on that because I accidentally put the numbers in wrong, but that's okay. We'll let it keep going. That'll be in the background for a little bit, but that's okay. I think I'll get our pineapple to draining. So my trick to you is, if you don't have a jar opener, I couldn't find mine down here today, you can take a butter knife, the back side, and get right underneath that, that thread of your jar, and that's how you can open it up. Yes, this is home canned pineapple. This is pineapple that I did in water only, no added sugars, and it smells really good. Actually, I might have to taste a piece here in a little bit just to see if thyme helped with it. But the last time after I had first I hadn't jarred it up for very long at all. We were very disappointed because what had happened is the juice of the pineapple kind of went into the water. You can't probably see it from here, but it does kind of look a little yellow. And so we were really disappointed in the flavor of the pineapple. So I've been trying to find different and unique ways to use it. And today is perfect because we will be having all these other delicious sweet fruits. And yes, we're going to be making a sugar syrup to go in here too. It just makes it a little extra special. So what I've got here is orange juice. Now the church cookbook recipe calls for frozen orange juice and I believe frozen pineapple juice too, maybe. I don't remember exactly. If I think of it, I'll take a picture of the recipe and I'll share it with you so you can have inspiration. But if you go and you look online, you will find lots of different recipes, similar ones to this, that you can get inspiration from. And some of them actually use already made juice. And I happen to have one container of the frozen that we made up and nobody was drinking. And I thought, you know what? I've got all this fruit. I can adapt this recipe to what I normally do and I can make this fruit salad. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And if you can see the fruit, it's not brown. So what I'm going to do is just go along and cut these into bite-sized pieces. I think I might do a couple of them like this. And I'm putting them into that orange juice to keep them from browning. Now see, this one, I'll have to kind of cut it up. It does have a couple of brown spots, so we don't want to use that part in the ends. On these, I'm going to actually cut the banana into quarters and then kind of chunk it, because like this, and then that will give a different size to put into our little cups. So just however you want to cut your banana up, cut your fruit up. Here I'm just going to do halves. It doesn't matter, however you want. It might depend on how you're going to serve it. Are you going to be serving it in a large bowl, or are you going to do what I'm going to do today and put it in little individual cups? That might make a difference on how you dice your fruit also. I have 8 bananas, which theoretically should give me 4 to 6 cups of fruit. And that's kind of what I'm looking for, is 4 to 6 cups of each of the different kinds of fruit, so that I can kind of have a little balance to it. But it really honestly doesn't matter. Some people will go a little heavier on one kind of fruit versus another. My pears have defrosted enough to where I can chop them up. I don't care if they completely defrost. They don't need to for me today because I'm just going to be freezing them. So I just wanted to get them defrosted enough to go through and see what I had and dice them up. And again, I'm not worrying about perfect dices, and they will turn brown. So I want to get them into our, can you see this? Our bananas and orange juice. And some of them, it looks like I may have had some browning while I was preserving them. I probably wasn't concerned about it. I probably didn't put any sort of citric acid or anything on it because my plan was to use this to make like pear butter or pear pie or, you know, a galette or something like that. But I think it'll be okay. If we are nervous, we could go ahead and add in some lemon juice, and that would help make sure the acidity goes up just a little bit more to help with the browning. But I honestly think that this orange juice will be enough. And I like lots of fruit. I mean, I like making the slush that goes with it too. I enjoy that part, but I like a nice amount of fruit to the actual juice slush that we make, which we'll be doing in just a bit. Anyway, they are a slight bit brown, but not bad. Any chunks of ice that may have formed, we're going to throw those out. My favorite part about working downstairs here is to be able to have a sink handy, you know, because I wash my hands all the time and make messes a lot. Rough chopping here. Oh, there's a nice chunk. There's a seed. Don't want that in there. Thought I had some pears that I had already diced, but I think I ended up freeze drying those. And I did not want to use freeze dried fruit for this, although you can rehydrate it and use it in any recipe you want. And I'm sure it could work. And especially if I were to say rehydrate it in fruit juice, but I just didn't want to do that today. I kind of need to clean out my freezer. So here we go. Now I do want to go ahead and get the sauce started. So I've got my pineapple here, which if you want to have a crushed pineapple, so if you're buying your fruit in the can from the store, buy crushed pineapple. A lot of people really like that and they like the texture of it. But I am not doing that today because I'm wanting to use this pineapple. So I'm just going to rough chop it. And I think that'll be perfectly fine. I could absolutely put it in my blender and whir it up real quick and get that crushed pineapple. But I kind of think it might be fun, especially with the soft texture of, say, like the pears and things, that it might be fun to have something with a little more bite to it. So I did not let any of that juice go to waste. We're going to take that and I'm going to rough estimate there's maybe 2 cups of juice in there. And to that, I'm adding about 4 cups of sugar. I know, it sounds like a lot, but we're just making a syrup is basically all I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my stove on a moderate heat. Bought myself this new spatula on Amazon. If I think of it, I'll put a link or whatever. It's kind of cool. On one end it's a spatula, and the other end it's kind of a spoon. And I think that this might be fun to cook with. So I'm going to give this a try today and see how I like it. Now, I don't need to get this to a boil or anything. All I'm wanting to do is make a syrup. I want to just dissolve the sugar. So if you kept your syrup from your juices of any canned fruit that you had, you wouldn't need to add near the amount of sugar that I'm adding, because you probably had, you know, if you made it with a syrup, you would have had that sugar in there already. Let's see, this isn't too difficult since it's already been canned. Yeah, I can just chop this up and I'll make it a little finer. Let me show you what I did. So you can see there's bigger pieces and littler pieces, and just chop it whatever size you want. Look what I've got here. Monster blueberries. Big old monster blueberries. I just told you I don't like putting blueberries in there. Guess what? It's not all about me all the time. I'm serving a crowd. I'm serving guests. A lot of people like blueberries. And look, can you see this? So far, it's all looking pretty bland. And I've got a small amount of strawberries. And the peaches have a little bit of color, but they're white peaches, so they don't have that peachy peach color. We need color. So, we're adding blueberries. We check on these peaches. Oh, we've got our syrup is made. I think that sugar is officially melted, so I'm going to shut that off. Because this is a coil stove, it will go ahead and have some heat on it. I think I'll go ahead and leave it on just a little bit because it is a little bit grainy, but not bad. These peaches, they are defrosted enough. I think that I can just go ahead and squish those on out. See, they have the color, but it's all looking pretty boring and pretty bland. So, in one of these I had 4 cups, and the other one I actually had 3 cups if you're keeping notes. So, we'll go ahead and, yeah, they're getting a little squished by me, but they're already diced, and I don't care if they become even smaller pieces or mush, because this is a slush anyway. So size really doesn't matter. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And by having this stuff kind of cold, it's going to keep, like, look at my bananas. Yes, my hands are clean. See that banana? It hasn't browned one tiny bit. And so by having all the acidity and the coldness, we're keeping our fruit fresh. So there's some ice in there. We'll let that defrost a bit. Strawberries. We'll put them in for a couple of minutes now. And I need to rinse off these blueberries. So let me clean my strainer that we used for the pineapple. And these blueberries are huge. And I asked my daughter if I could use them because they're actually hers. And to keep myself from making a mess, I'll put this underneath this time. She bought them and they were huge, and we were so excited because we do love eating blueberries. But friends, they are very tart. So this will also add a little tartness, but they are so big that I'm going to take the time and I'm going to cut them in half because of the size. And again, with the whole texture thing and me, I'm hoping maybe that'll help if they aren't whole. I don't know. If you have this same issue as I do, let's have a conversation about this. Let's talk about it. What do you do? Because like I love frozen blueberries in muffins and scones and breads and things like that. I have no problem at all. I will make blueberry jam and the skins will be left on, and I have no problem at all. It's just in this particular recipe, I don't know. Maybe it was the blueberries that I used the last time, but it just seems like when they were frozen, the skins were just kind of, I don't know how to explain it, just kind of bothered me. So if you're the same way, let me know. You think I'm crazy? Let me know. So I'm just going to set and cut these in half and throw them in. And I'm really excited about having made the decision to do this because I do want it to look pretty and look at the color that we're adding by doing that. I just had to show you. Look at the size of this blueberry. I mean, this is the tip of my finger. This is huge. It's easily a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch wide. It's huge. Okay, so we have our blueberries, and I'll admit, I'm glad I went ahead and did it. Definitely is going to give a little bit different of color scheme to it. So I'm glad we did it. Let's get those strawberries out of the defroster. Now they're still pretty hard, so I'm hoping to get them out in one big block. I think it's going to be just a little bit easier to chop. Homegrown strawberries are always much smaller anyway, but because they are so precious and I only had the one bag, I'm wanting to, make sure I get nice small slices of them. So I'm just going to slice all the way across this, and then we're going to call it good because I really don't know what all different directions, and I'm slicing it thin. So I don't want to cross hatch it this time like I did some of the other fruit because I'm afraid it would just make too small of a piece. And we don't want to do that. So see, a nice sliver. And with my nice clean hands, I just want to kind of sprinkle them in here just to make sure they're kind of separated. Oh yeah, that's going to give it lots of color. Break them up, and I think these are all broke up pretty good. So we can throw that in there. Give my hands another rinsey rinse. Now, because this is still warm, it's not hot, it's warm, I'm going to pour it over the top of the strawberries because they were frozen, and that'll just kind of help with that. Ooh, and it smells so good. Get every last bit of that out of there. We're going to want that sweet sugar with that blueberries. Yes. Clean rag, and I'm going to kind of wipe this off. I'll probably have to do that again because I'll probably make a mess here. But I want to just mix this up really well. And I am not going to add any liquid to it. At this point, I thought, well, if we needed to, we could add some liquid. Looks like I've got some strawberries here, or peaches that need. This will give me a chance to make sure everything kind of evenly dispersed and stuff. Dogs are barking. We'll be back in a minute. The dogs have calmed down, and so now I am all set up. I've got 50 of these cups. We'll see how far this goes. If I have extra, I might just freeze it for ourselves, but I have a nice ratio of actually a lot of fruit to a little bit of sauce, and I'm just going to go ahead and put that. Oh, you don't want to go quite to the top because you want to leave a little room for freezing. And then I have these cute little lids that'll just pop right on there, and here they are, little fruit cups, and I'll freeze it, and then we have about an hour's drive to the event I'm taking it to, and it'll give it a chance to kind of thaw a little bit and get a little slushy to serve. And that is how I make my, however I want to make it, fruit cup slushie. Bye for now, friends. Thank you so much for coming along with me. I hope this inspires you to take whatever fruits that you have in your abundance right now, or maybe you have just a little, like a partial can of something and you don't know what to do with it, but you don't want to waste it. Save it, and you can have a little of this and a little of that, and it won't be wasted, and you can use it in a fruit cup just like this, even if you only make one or two. Bye for now, friends.